Welcome Internet. This is a list of prints that I'm going to discuss. This is the last day at work, so the first day of my retirement, but I have a lot of plans, a lot of things to do. First up is the Isofarian battle log for guards, which I printed at my previous office printer. This discusses the how do you say a more efficient way to go through Isofarian Guard. How does it work? Every time you defeated an enemy, you tick off the cell in the below table. So, for example, you have an armored Zug. Maybe I need to zoom in. Show it better. An armored Zug comes in 4 varieties: 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star. And in the first chapter, before you enter Istra, you are with 2 guards running around the country, and if you find an armored Zug, then you defeat it. You have to battle it. But after you defeated an enemy, you can tick it off with a V, for example. And then the second time you find an armored Zug, you can so if you drew a skull chip, and if you have at least 1 purple cube on the field event deck for the node that you arrived on. So if you are, so it depends on the node if it can generate from the index an armored Zug. Then you can decide to not battle the armored Zug, but simply to reap the rewards immediately. And that costs you effectively 1 purple cube on the field event deck. That means that you have a choice now. Do you want to go to the for the field event? The field event can be chosen in exploration mode if you draw a compass chip, and if you already have 3 purple cubes on the field event deck. The field event deck consists of a lot of really nice rewards, but some of the rewards have prerequisites. You have to have certain items with you, and in the first chapter you don't have that many of those prerequisite items. And you can choose instead to directly reap the rewards by discarding 1 purple cube per such battle. And it's recommended for more player agency to play with the top field event card open. As is well known, Isofarian Guard has 4 guard pairs for books. Well, it has also a 5th book which alternates the guard pairs, but for the first 4 books you use 1 sheet for 1 pair of guards. So for Gregory and Alec you use this, and here is written all the enemies at 1 sheet, from Armored Zug to Waste Prowler. And yeah, it's just, if you for example, if you have a Brigand Chief and a Brigand Marauder, then you must battle them if any of the 2 have not been battled before. So this guarantees that you at least have some battle experience against any of the enemies that you draw. Some of these enemies do not appear in the first chapter. They only have 2 star or 3 star. For example, the eye of Uvidet it does not appear at 1 star. So and it doesn't. You don't have to complete everything, but it gives you an indication how ready you are for encountering the next boss. So I think this is an excellent way to speed up the battle flow of Isofarian Guard and not spend ad nauseam battle after battle of the same enemies. But you do get to battle each of these enemies 4 times at least in their various strength levels. So this is one sheet for Yuri and Catherine, another one, and for I don't remember what the other guard pairs were. This is how I will play Isofarian Guard. So 4 sheets. They could have been double-sided, but it's not my printer. Next up is Fallen Land. Fallen Land is a work of love. It's a work of passion project from 2 dudes from US, and it's from Fallen Dominion, and they produced in after 15 years of development post-apocalyptic America called Fallen Land, and the first edition is highly rated, and well, it's a bit out of my comfort zone because it is you are swimming in a sea of chaos, to put it mildly, and it is lauded for generating a narrative by stringing together all the events that happen. Imagine that you have a hexagon filled board of the US and several starting points for the post-apocalyptic factions. And you play one of these factions. You gather some guys or gals, at least 5 or 6. And you strive to progress your town by accumulating fame and by gaining loot and building out the equipment of your characters. And all kinds of things can happen depending on what hexagon type you are on. So that's like in Zerivia, or in a smaller sense with Isofarian Guard. Depends on the area type. What event deck you draw from, and those there are plains are easier in general than mountains, for example. But that's about it. Everything I have seen about the videos on social media. It also has the drawback that it takes up a lot of space. So Fallen Dominion has a website, and from the website you can not only print out, download and then print the scenario book, also the rule book, the quick start guide, and some fan-based legacy campaign modes. Sorry. So also it has gathered some audience, and those fans created yeah, like a narrative adventure card game on top of Fallen Land. So if you're normally playing like a skirmish mode, running around the map, you can also play on top of that the scenario book, and on top of that you can also play the legacy campaign mode. And I was of course highly interested in how that would even work. So I printed out everything and we are going to discuss this. So if you're not into post-apocalyptic adventures, I suggest you skip the next videos. I set the printer settings to what was the name? To change the size so that it would fit fit to page. And then I increased the saturation, so it looks a little bit, yeah, like an old 60s because of the color palette saturation. I'm not sure if this is the actual color palette, but I immediately like this this setting. So also another point that comes back over the social media is that the rulebooks are really good. And as you know, that I have a fondness of good rulebooks. Okay, so there is a competitive scenarios 3 that is if you're not playing alone, or maybe there is also an AI version. Maybe you can play the competitive scenarios also against an AI. There are cooperative scenarios. That's, I think, maybe you have to play two-handed. I'm not really sure because I'm of course playing solo and nobody to play with. Everybody's working, not very tired. There is solo scenarios, so and that would be my first thing to try. There's a solo variant 1 and 2. And there's an alternate setup for party time, the draft, bidding war. No map scenarios, that would be also interesting. That saves you a lot of space on the table if it is really not a map. And for the gold, so well, and there are a lot of variants. Project God's Hammer, Ronin, short game, timed game, harsh reality, veteran game, expert game, solo rules.